when I finally had all the stuff in the houses and the cars and the house on the west coast by the water and the house on the east coast by the water and the Porsches and BMWs and the perfect beautiful wife, I wasn't the most happiest.
All right, we're here at the legendary Gold's Gym, the mecca of bodybuilding, with the legendary Tom Platz. Tom, how you doing?
Good, John. Good. Thanks.
Good to see you. It's great that your fans still embrace you so much. You know, like we talked about this the other day, how it's been so long since you competed, but people, even younger people, still recognize what you brought to the sport. You know.
Well, you know, I'm very grateful and honored. Okay, it warms my heart to be recognized. 37 years after I lost the 81 Olympia. 37 years I lost the show, and I've been working ever since.
Yeah.
I mean, every judge on the judging panel had me guest pose in their country at least 10 times. They wanted the same music, the same red trunks, and we'll pay anything you want. I'm like, you know, that should be Mr. Olympia. But where I didn't get the Sandow, I get everything else. So can I really complain? Thanks, God. It's been great. I mean, if I had
said that contest made your career.
It's nice to be alive. You know, I enjoy really doing what I want to do. When you get to be 60 something, I'm 63. I'll be 63 next month. You start thinking about, you know, really what you want to do. So I resigned from corporate function. To make a long story short, I wanted to come back into the bodybuilding world, mainly because of the digital world that bodybuilding is now. I mean, it's 20-year-old, 18-year-old, 16-year-old girls are like, they know me. And they're standing in line waiting to get a picture. And they're like shaking. I'm like, how do you know me? I mean, I could be your dad twice, you know? And, but I'm honored. I'm honored. I'm grateful. But I think most people who come into bodybuilding nowadays look at it in terms of what can bodybuilding do for me. In the old days, as I was just telling Rich, it was like, what can I do for bodybuilding is the way you looked at it. I mean, John F. Kennedy said this years ago. It's not what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. And really, when you look at that, ultimately, when you know, it's not the title that makes the man or the woman. It's the man or the woman that already has the bodybuilding in their soul and their heart that makes the title. And when I coach some of the young guys, I tell them this, and they think the title will make their career. If I ever win that, I'm done. Everything will happen.
Turn pro.
You're just getting started. You get your pro card. Well, there's too many pro cards now, I think. But you get the big trophy and you win the big show. As I told Sergio Oliva Jr., you're just getting started now. You got to be the actor on the stage. You got to sell the muscle. You got to have the muscle. You got to sell it, or nobody's going to buy it. You've got to be the diplomat, traveling from country to country, shaking hands, like running for office. And you got to be the businessman, building the brand. Okay, and you know, we didn't have the luxury in the old days of, you know, having a sponsorship. You know, we didn't have old school back then saying, hey, put you on contract. You know, there was no Facebook and no Instagram. So the only way I could build the brand was to go on stage every 4 days. So I spent 3 days a week in here, maybe 4, and I squeaked it out and would go to Florida for this and whatever, go to Europe 3 months. Every weekend was an exhibition. So by the time the show came, as I was telling Brion, you knew exactly how to pose. You had enough practice, you know. And so I miss it, but I don't want to go back. And these are great days. These are great days too. But everybody wants to know, what was it like back then?
But I remember you said that in an interview in 1986. You said, I think you were one of the few guys to do this, was you said, when you turn pro, now you're a professional, and you have to be a professional and making money, and you did that. You started, you know, booking exhibitions, booking seminars every weekend. You were on the phone. You were calling these promoters. You know, you were proactive about that, and you did build your brand around your legs. You know, wasn't it Frank Zane that told you to you know, use your legs as a calling card?
Well, like when I won, what was it?
79 Olympia?
Well, let's start with the Mr. America, the 78 Mr. America.
Okay.
I didn't win the 78 Mr. America. Tony Pearson did. But then they had the second and more knowledgeable judging panel come in
to pick the team to go to the universe.
And so they picked me to go to the universe 6 weeks later, and I won the universe. Which qualified me to turn pro and to the Olympia in 1979, which is my first Olympia. But when I won the universe, You know, there's no Facebook, there's no Instagram.
Right.
There's a 3-month lag.
Right. Before anybody knows.
Yeah. Before anybody knows that you did anything. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a long time.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, Frank, I have a couple of degrees. I'd like to teach with you at Santa Monica High School. Maybe that's the thing I should do. Frank goes, no, don't rush it. You're not ready for that. I said, Frank, I got to eat. Okay. You know, I have 2 degrees. I have a master's degree, and I handed out beach towels on the beach, and I won the Mr. Universe. So what am I going to do?
Right.
Frank goes, look, here's what you say when the phone rings. So that he taught me. And Cal Scalic helped me too.
Yeah, I remember
Cal Scalic. And Frank said, when the phone rings, here's what your fee is. And you want your girlfriend and you to go, you know, both of them on the same trip. You want all hotel and accommodations and food paid for. Half the fee in advance. Now, when you get half the fee, and there was no PayPal back then, so we had to have a check sent via the regular mail.
Right.
So when the check came, I go, oh, put it in the bank, it cleared. All right, I'm going to this place this weekend.
Oh, okay.
And then upon arrival, the remainder of the balance was, Frank said, make sure you always get it on upon arrival.
Right.
Because, you know, he would protect me.
Yeah.
Okay, and he put it all in a safety deposit box. Okay. I mean, turning pro, Frank was very helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, and they groomed me, the camaraderie. So when the phone rang, I knew exactly what to say.
Right.
You know, here's my fee, bam, 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 bam. All right, go, let's go.
Yeah.
And I could represent myself. Nowadays, it's a little harder to do that.
I did an interview with Samir a couple years ago, and he said that he was living with you for a little time.
Yeah.
And he said when you answered the phone, you'd say, Tom Platz, Mr. Universe.
I did not.
That's what he said.
And Tom, unintentionally, he answered the phone and said, hello, this is Tom Platz, Mr. Universe. I said, wait, Tom, don't rub it in, Tom.
He was on the road driving out to California. He followed me out to California.
Yeah, from Michigan.
Yeah, from Michigan. We both won the Mr. Michigan.
Right.
And I knew he was supposed to call. He called me back. I think he called, and he was, back then, cell phones didn't exist, and he called me from a gas station, and it was a little static. So when he called the second time, I go, I knew it was him. No, Tom Platz, Mr. Universe, like Samir. We were rivals, you know.
Right.
You know, of course, he went on to win the Universe and the Olympia.
Yeah.
Something that I never did.
Yeah.
And I always tell him about that. You know, I mean, I always say, hey man, do you know you won the Olympia?
Yeah.
I don't know if you registered for him yet.
Yeah.
You know, no, I'm joking.
Right.
And yes, it was about the money when you turn pro. But I got to tell you, having made some real stupid money, I mean good money over the years, when I finally had all the stuff, and the houses and the cars, and the house on the West Coast by the water, and the house on the East Coast by the water, and the Porsches and BMWs, and the perfect, beautiful wife who was self-made. I don't want to get too into that. Okay, I wasn't the most happiest.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that because I went there, and I thought whoever had the most stuff would be happy.
Right.
As I am now.
Yeah.
And I'm more happy now coming back home to bodybuilding, being here.
Yeah.
Being here in the old place that I grew up in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something, money can't buy that.
Right.
I think a lot of us have, people, young men and women and clients that want to buy it.
Right.
You can't buy it. You have to live it, and that's where we come in. You can fortify their soul and their being and their spirit with where we come from, and I think that's really what we're supposed to do. It's about really giving back to something that's given you so much. I mean, bodybuilding for me has been very good to me mentally, spiritually, financially, and physically. And it's everything I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And more.
Well, when we talk about how popular we are now, it's crazy when you think about it, because it really all came from the passion that you put into your training, which, you weren't even looking at any kind of reward from it, really. Maybe trying to win a title or whatever, but it was all that passion that you put into training, because I think what people remember about you most isn't really the titles. It's Tom Platz, the passionate bodybuilder, who put all his, like what Rich was just talking about, the 10-minute squats with 315, I mean, that's what we remember. We remember that passion that you brought into the training.
People don't remember the titles.
No.
I only have that when he wins anyway.
Right.
But I had some key ones.
Yeah, right.
And as I said before, it's not the titles that make the man or the woman. It's the man and the woman, the energy, the soul, the spirit that makes the title. In the days of Grimmick, and the days of Reg Park, and in the days of Sergio Oliva, Dave Draper, Serge Dubray, I mean, all these, Arnold, of course, these are all the guys that they walked up on stage and go, that's the title.
Yeah.
And this is the guy. They were judging that energy, not giving a title and hopefully they giving them they weren't really giving them anything. They were rewarding the experience, the living experience, the human experience that these guys and these girls had.
Let me take you back to 81, because that was, you know, your pinnacle year. I was there. I saw that contest in Columbus, Ohio. But I want to know, like, what your mindset was as you were training for that contest. That was only your third Olympia. You did it in 79.
Yeah.
I think you got 9th in 79, and then in 80, when Arnold won, I think you were in the top 10. I can't remember exactly where you placed. So then that next year, what was the mental attitude that really made you think that, you know, 81 was going to be your year? What made you push yourself to that point where you made such great improvements?
Well, something happened in my personal life right before the 81 Olympia that I very rarely talk about. My fiance hooked up with my training partner and left me. And I was like hurt, devastated, in pain, and 4.5 months out going, I don't believe it. But I was so hurt.
Yeah.
And I finally, I don't know how I was able to do it. Somehow, you know, with the help of God, I was able to put the hurt into the gym, into the training. All of a sudden, everything was clear. I mean, everything was crystal clear, and it made sense that now it's time to do business.
Yeah.
1978 was my first year, getting your feet wet.
Right.
1979, my first Olympia. 1980, my second Olympia.
Right.
And 1981 was like, okay. And now it's time to do business. And it was hard. It took me 3 years.
And they were training at your gym, right?
Yeah.
They were still training when you were there.
Yeah. I mean, I had all these guys' posters on my bedroom wall when I was a boy. I mean, just the sheer thought of standing next to the greatest in the world. You question yourself. Can I do that? Am I good enough to stand next to Robbie, to Zane, to, you know, all these guys?
Right.
But the third year, the 81 Olympia, I'm like, all right, it's time to do business.
Yeah.
Okay, I belong up here.
Right.
Okay, let's go, God. Okay, I'm with you.
Right.
You know, and it was like everything worked.
Yeah.
It was a magical year. I opened the door to the gym. Boom! Bam! Great results. Everything I ate, bam! Everything exercise I did was, wow, the greatest exercise ever.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
So it was like I could do no wrong. And I wake up in the morning going, what's going to happen today? Every exercise, every workout was the best workout of my life. Okay? And I was like, man, this is crazy. I was just fueled with this crazy, stupid energy, you know?
Yeah.
And so as a result, I mean, I remember seeing 6 weeks out, going, man, it's all coming together, you know? And we didn't have any suntan beds. We didn't get spray tan back then. We'd go to the beach 3 hours a day.
Right.
But I'd walk in the gym and, you know, I'd do arms or chest and hit a couple shots in the mirror. And Franco was like, holy shit. You would win today if he was in broken English. You would win today if we had the contest today.
Yeah.
And Arnold would say, because it said, yeah.
So
every, you know, I wasn't trying to mess with anybody. It was just
checking yourself.
it was, you know, it was fun. It was exciting, and but everything was working so perfectly, and you know, I just remember, okay, let's go, let's catch the plane now, okay. And Balick calls me, John Balick, and he says, look, Tom, before you leave, why don't we do a couple of show photos at the beach? I'm like, John, come on, I gotta leave in 2 hours. He goes, no, come on, real quick. He goes, you won't regret it. So we went to the beach and did some quick shots, and those shots were poster shots and red trunks in the water. John was right, you know, and in fact we marketed posters from that. But I remember going to the airport, and you know, and all these gorgeous girls from Gold's Gym here wanted to pick me up and drop me off. I'm like, wow, all this attention. You know, I was zoned out for the 4 months prior to the show. I mean, there's nothing to get in my way. I didn't see anybody. It was just training. My training partner was always there on time, early. He's like, ready to go, Tom? You know, I could train 4 days in a row, and train 4 more days, train 4 more days, train 4 more. I had no time off and get results. And eventually I took a day off, but I was just, you know, it was happening.
Have you ever had that experience before? Up to that point? No.
Up to that point, never that kind of magical year.
Right.
It wasn't just me. It was like I was being driven. It was like a higher power was inside me.
Right.
I think it's God. I don't think it was the devil.
Yeah.
Okay? But it was like, you know, I could sleep a little bit, look great.
Yeah.
I could, you know, of course I was on a very stringent diet and in the sun all the time, and my training partners were very supportive, you know, and the whole gym, was like, go! You know, it was like a cheering place. And I remember progressing now to just before we went to Columbus, and I Went to Columbus and I turned the heat up. Let's keep it the same way as California. And all these others said, don't change anything. Don't go high carbs, low carbs. You look so perfect right now. Don't mess with it.
Right.
I said, okay, Artie, I'll trust you. That makes sense to me. Why mess with it?
Right.
So we went to the room and I turned it up like 95 degrees. I'm sweating. Put on my sweatsuit. You know, the audience response that year and the year I retired was so tremendous.
Yeah.
Everything I did. I would train 25 more years, John, for one more night just like that.
Wow.
Forget about the money. The money's not about the money.
Yeah.
It's about that kind of symbiotic response with the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, if once in a performer's life you get that, and I believe we're performers, you know, you're lucky.
Yeah.
And I remember in '86 when I retired, I had even more of that, and I came off stage. I was competing, and I think it was 6 encores, competing for the Mr. Olympia. Came off stage, and you know, Arnold was like, and from one performer to another, it's like, this is why we do it.
Right.
You know, it's been good.
Yeah.
You know, and I thank God for that, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what I try to instill in everybody that I work with.
Right.
But those were magical years.
Yeah.
And wonderful years, and I didn't win the Olympia, no.
Yeah.
But as I always tell Samir, it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right.
Losing the '81 Olympia was the very best thing in my career, in my life.
Yeah.
You know, and people don't know how to handle that because you know we were there to win. But if I would have won, I would have been okay. He won 1 year, okay, fine. Here's what's missing nowadays. We felt like rock stars. I remember walking on stage and competing. It was like you're Michael Jackson or Lady Gaga or Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Like the audience went crazy, mass hysteria.
Crazy.
I mean, you felt like, oh my God, I was just scared to death. Oh my God, how am I get out of here? When you walk on stage, sometimes you don't win when you should have. Sometimes you win when you shouldn't have.
Right.
It's a risk we take.
Right.
It's a matter of opinion who wins, even though Franco and I argued about that for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you feel after the prejudging, Tom? Because I was there at the show that day, and I was at the prejudging, and it seemed like the support for you was building as the day went on. You know, and I think the reason, in my opinion, was because back then, you know, if you made gains as a bodybuilder, it wasn't really about drugs. It was about hard work.
Oh, yeah.
And they could see, I mean, the hard work was in your physique, you know, because you put on, I don't know how much weight you gained from 80 to 81, but you could see the upper body in particular. Of course, the legs are always spectacular. They were better than ever that year.
Yeah.
But the upper body was incredible. I mean, you could just see the amount of work you put in, and you were a hardcore bodybuilder, and I think that's why the fans loved you so much.
I think people appreciated the work ethic.
Yeah, I do too.
People knew me that from where I come from, and it wasn't about pharmacology back then.
Right.
It was about just working harder than you ever, and challenging that guy in the mirror.
Yeah.
Going, I could do more. I could do more.
Yeah.
So if I did 315 for 50, I could do 60. Watch me, Tom.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And it was just, and people supported that in this gym, and they encouraged me. And I think back now, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? I could have died.
Right.
You know. But I remember laying on the floor after a workout, you know, that kind of reps. It's like somebody was stabbing knives in my legs, just like, oh my God, I'm dying, you know.
Right.
And I'd wait about 10, 12 minutes and go, all right, Tony, let's do another set. You know? Oh my God, you're crazy.
Right.
You know, the reason I was able to do what I did, and the reasons all of us were able to do what we did, is because of the fans, the energy that they give us, and I'll never forget that. And I owe them.
Yeah.
I do, and that's when I go to Hungary and I do seminars, and there's hundreds of people still showing up. It reminds me of '81. The energy comes from them, and I have to thank them and really give everything I got back to them.
Yeah.
And the first thing I say in Hungary, in a lot of the small countries I go to when I'm on this tour, is, hey, you can do anything you want to do in life, whether it be this in the gym or outside the gym.
Yeah.
If you want something bad enough, there's no reason why you can't do it. You can't let anybody tell you that you can't do something, especially yourself.
Yeah.
And they're not used to hearing that in Hungary. They're like, oh no, I should be grateful for that. No, I go look at the Olympia. The Olympia, and a lot of these world-class characters like Peter Molnar. He's small waist, big shoulders, and I said the Olympia is no big deal. Come on, forget about it. He's looking at the Olympia like it's over here.
Yeah.
He said the Olympia is here. There's so much great talent out there.
Yeah.
So much great talent in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think I had that much talent. No, I don't. I think I had the work ethic, the drive, the mentality, and I was not going to be a victim to my genetics. My genetics were going to be a victim to me.
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at it. And everybody that was at the Olympia in '81, they knew that mentality.
Yeah.
They supported it and they cheered it and they saw that.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't about pleasing the judges. The Olympia was about humbly showing the audience and the judges how it goes according to me. Okay. In '81, it was, like I mentioned, it was time to do business. and I really didn't care what anybody thought. And eventually people, they saw what they wanted to see, or they didn't see what they wanted to see, but it was my personal artistic expression.
Yeah.
And that's the way I looked at it, you know. So I really wasn't trying to please the judges. And the way I thought in '81 was like, with the energy and the mentality that I put into this, I can't lose.
Yeah.
I don't care if they don't vote for me, I can't lose.
Right, right.
And that's what I think that's what everybody felt.
Yeah.
Just to go on stage at the Olympia. Just walk out there, take your place in the lighting, and smile. And just stand there. And then you give the audience permission to go on the ride.
Yeah.
And they feel it. It's non-verbal communication. You're telling your story. And I would always think about one thing which I won't share with you. I thought about one thing which made me glow when I walked on stage. The audience didn't know. They just saw something that they liked. And like, okay, I'm going.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and when I hit the poses and the way I hit the poses and the energy I hit the poses with, you know, I was telling a story. I learned how to pose by posing. I would be in Europe, I'd be in the UK one year, and I had lint. I actually had lint on my skin. I had oil on my skin, and I walked on stage and go, oh my God, there's big pieces of lint. So I started dusting the lint off before I cranked the shot out.
Yeah.
And people go, yeah, that's great. They're like, so everywhere I went, I pretended there was lint.
Right, right. That's great.
You know, but you know, initially you copy. Initially you do. I copied Zane. It didn't work. I tried copying Arnold. Crank it a little bit closer, the punchy thing.
Right.
But eventually you come into your own, and you invent.
Right.
And you create, which is the highest level of existence as a performer. It's art.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding is art. Nowadays it's mostly science.
Yeah.
It's like we have a bunch of science experiments on stage.
Right.
With all due respect, I think we need more art
Yeah.
and less science.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's missing.
Yeah.
That's why everywhere I go, they want to know about old school.
Yeah.
Tell us about old school. What was it like in the 80s and the 70s?
Right.
You know, everybody wants to know. I mean, even these 18-year-old girls from yesterday at the seminar at Squat Clinic, I'm like, you want to know about that? Okay, I'll tell you about it, you know.
Yeah. A lot of these classic physique guys are really good posers.
Yeah.
But a lot of them haven't developed their own style, you know, their own individual unique poses. So when you see them, they say, that's Tom Platz or that's Frank Zane, you know. We used to know them by their silhouettes, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the late 70s.
But there was a special energy. There was a special magic, which I know you recall,
Yeah.
that we are in the midst of. And we're all fortunate to be around it. We all came out here, like I use the phrase, anointed zombies. Like anointed by God to come to California to train in one gym together.
Yeah.
It's not about the money, and all we wanted to do was train together. It didn't happen by chance. Like your career chose you. All of us at that time. It wasn't a matter of choice. Can I be interested in bodybuilding and get into this or not? No, it's like, I have no other choice. There's no, I even said, forget plan B. I don't want plan B. Forget it. I sort of did, but that was for my dad writing it. You know?
Yeah, I remember you said that. Bodybuilding chose me. I didn't choose bodybuilding.
Yeah.
That's a great way to say it.
And this is in your blood.
Yeah.
And it's what you intrinsically or innately know that you're born to do. Not even about talent.
Right.
You know, you'll do it whatever it takes to get there. Realizing we'll never really get there. As art, you never really fulfill.
Right, you never really achieve it,
But most of the fun, as I've been explaining to me, has been the quest.
Yeah.
Is, you know, all those years and the trials and the tribulations and you know, I have some very fond memories that I'm still able to recall.
Yeah.
You know, at least now. And that's the way I saw bodybuilding. You know, I was really an old powerlifter.
Yeah.
I was really good at powerlifting and Olympic lifting. But you know, I'd win the state title in the Olympic lifting or powerlifting, and you get a beer mug and a pat on the back.
Right.
Okay, good job. And I'll get a job as a PE teacher. Okay,
Right.
my degrees.
Right.
And then when I won the Mr. Michigan, you know, Weeder's inviting you out for a photo session. I'm going to Florida to work with Dick Falcon.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is Hollywood.
Yeah.
They went to Hollywood, Florida. They were like, I want this Arnold Draper thing that I have in my mind from the magazines. That's what I want. I want that part of it. And so if I say so, I sold out to powerlifting. I sold out to strength training, and pretended to be a bodybuilder all these years. Okay, but it's everything I wanted it to be. It has been.
Yeah.
It's been a gift.
Yeah.
And it has. Okay. I mean, guys like yourself that have I can see in your eye. I mean, you love this stuff. I know. Okay. And we're becoming few in number.
Yeah.
Because really, people look at it and they come into the sport now, and there's what can bodybuilding do for me? That's the first thing they think as I opened up with them. I think we need to get back to what can I do for bodybuilding? And you know, you hope when you get to be my age, you can give back more than get, make a positive dent in the business.
Yeah.
And you can leave it a little bit better than when you found it.
Right.
Okay, that's all I can hope for.
Right.
Okay.
That's great, Tom. Well, thank you very much.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
for all you've done for the sport.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
for all you continue to do.
Thank you.
And you're a great inspiration to all of us. And it's great that you keep inspiring us through your seminars.